What's up, everyone? We are going live. All right, so let's dive in. Today we are talking about how to design the perfect workout program. And as I was making the title, I actually realized I set myself up for a trap because obviously the perfect workout program is going to be different for everybody. It depends on, how much time you have to work out, what your goal is, what you like to do, and all that. But I'll try to go through some of the basic principles. And for any of you who are on here or join me later, just let me know and we can sort of talk about what would be the perfect program specifically for you. All right. So, one of the first things that I like to talk about is obviously the goal. What's your goal when it comes to working out? For most of us, I would probably say most of us have some form of fat loss or being leaner in mind. So that being said, one of the things we have to talk about is like, how do we get lean? How do we lose fat, right? So I think probably we'll start out with like the goal of fat loss in mind. So there's probably two main parts to it. It's obviously burning calories, but also increasing your metabolism over time and doing that in a safe manner, right? And I do have to say, like, you have to be aware that no amount of working out or even the perfect workout program might do nothing for you in terms of fat loss if your nutrition or your diet doesn't reflect a calorie deficit. What I mean by that is like you could work out. So I know a lot of friends have been asking me like, oh, I run all the time. I run like a buddy of mine said like they have a friend who runs 6 miles a day, but they're still overweight. They don't look like they work out. They're not really losing fat, right? So on the nutrition side, if nothing changes, if you're eating the same amount of calories that you put out through your workout, then you're not going to lose fat. It's just the way it is. So, but in terms of the workout alone, the one things we want to be aware of is one, we got to do some form of strength training to basically increase your metabolism over time. And there's like a ton of health benefits beyond just losing fat that comes from strength training. But in order to increase your metabolism over time, strength training is literally the only way you can do that in a meaningful manner. No other type of training will really do that. So you want some form of strength training. And I think what I would say is the ideal frequency for most people is probably like 3 days a week. And the sessions don't have to be long. Could be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. They really don't need to be longer than an hour for almost anybody, unless you're trying to be, unless maybe you're like doing steroids and want to get like bodybuilder jacked, then you could maybe handle more time than that, but no more than an hour is necessary in terms of strength training. So around like 3 sessions, I think, is a good minimum per week. And then, the other part of it is like you want to do some sort of cardio. I know a lot of it's a popular thing now, and I've been in that camp before where you say like, oh, you don't need cardio to get ripped. And it's true. You don't really need it, but it's good for your health. It's worth doing. And it burns calories pretty quickly. So that's like sort of the short-term higher calorie burn. Paul, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining. So yeah, I think one of the things we gotta be aware of is like, it really depends on your goal, right? So for fat loss, you would really benefit actually from doing some form of steady state cardio. And I would say, again, it really depends on how much time you have, right? In a perfect world, I would say like if you could dedicate 1 hour of movement every day, some form of movement. It doesn't have to be a gym workout. It doesn't have to be a run. It could just be like walking around the city, walking outside, but some form of movement, Pilates, yoga, whatever. That would be perfect. All right. So if I had to script my perfect workout program, I'd probably be looking at 3 strength training workouts. If I'm feeling ambitious, maybe 4. Then I would do around 2 steady state cardio sessions and 1 maybe HIIT style conditioning workout, right? And that is like my sort of ideal workout for myself. Again, I have very specific goals. And so it really depends on what you're looking to accomplish and what's more important to you, and also what you enjoy. So I just happen to like strength training more. So I like to make that a big part of my workout. Stasia, what's happening? Thanks for joining. But yeah, so I think one of the things also that we want to talk about is like, how do we program a good strength training workout? It sort of depends, and the main things we want to cover really would be, there's probably like 5 main patterns of movement that you definitely want to hit. And if your goal is like really just mainly fat loss, most of your workout should be based on compound movements, movements that train a lot of muscles at once. So you're challenging more muscles to grow. You get the best bang for your buck in terms of time, unless you have any specific body part that you want to accentuate, where you might do some more isolation work. Like, I know a lot of guys want like bigger arms, so they do bicep curls, or, maybe they want bigger shoulders, whatever, right? So those are kind of the situations where you might do more isolation work. But for a general overall body muscle growth situation, compound movements would do the best, right? And there's probably, I would say there's 5 main movement patterns that are really important to train. There's a push, there's a pull, squat, hinge, and you want to do some form of core strengthening work, all right? And so like push would be like, like bench press, push-ups, maybe shoulder presses. Pull would be something like pull-ups, rows. And then you got your squat, very simple squat. There's a lot of different variations, split squats that do one leg. Like leg presses, things like that. Now, obviously, and then there's the hinge. I think the hinge we can get. Hinge is things like deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, things to train your posterior chain. Hip thrusts, glute bridges, things like that. So things that'll train your glutes, your hamstrings. And then core work, traditionally we like to think about like, sit-ups, crunches, things like that. But Also, like, you really want to think more about like planks, things that really enhance your stability, and things like that. So those are sort of the main movements that you want to make sure you're attacking in terms of your strength training program. Yeah. Now, how you divide that up, again, it's also it's a highly personal question and dependent on how many times a week you're in the gym, how long you're in the gym, or if you're not in the gym, like, you can do body weight exercises and all that good stuff. But typically, like, the most popular training splits are either full body. I think for for a lot of people, full body works really well. All right, you too, Stasia. Take care. But yeah, I think we were talking about basically this training splits, right? Full body works really well for a lot of people, especially you don't have like more than 4 days to get in the gym. Full body, so you'll include maybe like some form of upper body movement, some form of lower body movement, and maybe some core work every time, right? But the trap, I think, is that a lot of people try to fit all of those things into every workout, right? So, I mentioned 5 things. If you're looking at doing one form of push, one pull, one squat, one hinge, some core exercise, that's like already 5 different exercises, and then people may add like an isolation exercise to accentuate a body part. You're talking about like 6 plus exercises. If you're doing like 3-4 sets, that's gonna be at least an hour minimum, right? So one of the things that you can do instead of trying to fit it all is just to alternate and give yourself more focus and dedication on several components for each workout. So, for example, maybe if you were doing a full body workout, you could do some upper body form of workout, right? Either push or pull, or you could do both. Maybe do a squat and then a core exercise, and you can rotate it so you're doing the hinge the next time for your lower body, and you could do both, or you could choose one of the upper bodies and alternate that way, right? So there's really honestly there's a lot of options. So it's, again, like I said, it's hard for me to give you a prescription for the perfect workout for you unless we sit down, get to know each other, and talk about your specific goals. Okay. Now the other part is, how do you? So I'm sorry. The other sort of popular training split would probably be upper body, lower body. That works really well as well, and that's actually my preferred format, just because. Sometimes if you want to warm the body up, do some mobility work to make sure you can get into position, especially for like myself, where I know it looks like I'm in a gym all day, but the reality is I'm actually on my computer for like 12 hours a day. So most of my work is on the computer. And so when it's time to work out, my body is stiff and it's not been in a good position all day. So I need to do some form of mobility and some type of warm up to prime my body for heavy lifting, right? And so if I were doing a full body workout, the mobility demands for me to get my body ready and warmed up for both upper body and lower body. It tends to mean a larger time commitment, which I don't like. I want to be in and out and done within 45 minutes to an hour max. So that's why I personally like the upper body, lower body split. I think you can really focus on warming up just your upper body, get into the workout, crush the weights, hit the exercises, and then just get out, right? And same with the lower body, right? So like to get your body ready for heavy squats, it takes, a little bit of time, especially if you've been sitting in a chair all day. So that's like why I personally like the upper body, lower body split. And it allows you to be really focused and have a, primary lift for the day where you just really dial in and attack, right? So, and then you don't get into the trouble where I'm so sore, like I don't want to hit the gym. Like you can be sore, but the other parts of your body, the upper body may be fresh, lower body sore. It's okay. You can get in there, still get good work on. And then the other, sort of format is like the popular bro bodybuilding split, where you maybe focus on one or two exercises. That generally is, unless you're working out very, very often, your goal is maximum muscle and you're in the gym, like I want to say 5 or 6 days a week. It's probably not the most efficient way. But, if that's the way you really enjoy training, that's okay too. If that's the way you get excited about your workout, then it's normal. Like that can work. It's not always about what's the most efficient or what the scientific literature says, because if a lot of times it's more about your effort and focus in the gym than it is about the perfect setup, right? So that's why I say there's a lot of individual factors in what makes a workout perfect. So that's just something to consider. But for the most part, for, most of us who our lives don't really revolve around fitness or building your body a certain way, bang for your buck time-wise, you'd probably be better off going for full body or upper body, lower body splits, right? Now, the other component I wanted to talk about today is about cardio and how to fit that in. So I used to be that hardcore, like, you don't need to do cardio to get fit, which is true, actually. You don't need to do it. You can get most of your calorie burn from strength training, and if you just watch your nutrition, and you don't have to be neurotic about it actually, but if you just eat healthy and moderate your food intake, you can actually, most of us can probably get away with just doing only strength training and some dietary changes. So again, it's really a whole system thing. You can't ignore the nutrition and just work out and get results. Very few people can. Now, that being said, I do think it is to your benefit to do cardio work at some point, right? And like I said, you want to do some form of steady state cardio. I would say at least 2 to 3 times a week. Now, that's a lot, right? For example, if we're saying you work out in the gym, do some strength training like 3 to 4 times a week, then you're doing like 2 or 3 times cardio. So then you may have some sessions where you're doing both, right? And even though, again, this is one of those things, like the research says that you don't get the best adaptations if you do strength and cardio together, right? But we don't live in a perfect insulated environment, right? Like I know like most of us, well, at least I certainly don't have time to schedule a strength workout at the beginning of the day and then like 9 or 10 hours later do another cardio workout. Life just doesn't quite work that way. So that sort of leads you to the question, like, if that's the case, would you still get better results if you did cardio and strength training in the same session, then the person who doesn't do the cardio and for like 3 or 4 days, and you would get better results, right? So if you do combine strength training and cardio, it's highly recommended that you do your steady state cardio after your strength training, right? Number one, you can dedicate more of your mental focus and energy on the strength training, which will obviously give you better results. And strength training depletes what we call your glycogen stores, which is like a fancy way of saying the energy you've stored up from food in your muscles, right? Which is used as you're exercising. So you use that up, and then your body will start to also mobilize some of the fat stores, and then the cardio can burn off those that fast, utilize the energy or the blood sugar, the sugar in your blood for energy. Once all that's gone, then that's sort of how the fat burning process goes. So if you're doing cardio and strength training together, do the cardio after the strength training for the best results. All right. And, in terms of like HIIT stuff, I would say you probably don't really want to combine that with heavy strength training in the same session, right? The reason being is HIIT tends to be, if you're doing it correctly, it should be very intense. And when your muscles are fatigued and your lungs are fatigued, the risk for injury can be pretty high. Now, that's not to say like you can't do it that way at all. Just you have to be mindful and be careful of how you're training and making sure that you're not pushing yourself to the point where you like trip, or you're not engaging your core. Like I know a lot of us, like, we're flopping around on burpees and stuff. Like it's important to really maintain a good posture and core to make sure that you're getting the most out of it and you don't hurt yourself. But so I like to do HIIT on an individual session, and sometimes I'll do HIIT combined with steady state cardio. All right, so I'll do like a HIIT. Again, you want to do the HIIT before the steady state cardio, and that will sort of give you a better result again, as opposed to doing the cardio steady state before the HIIT. Okay, so that's sort of those are the main points I wanted to cover. I didn't see any questions from you guys, so I hope that was helpful. But if you watch the replay, you have any questions about what I was talking about, just leave a comment below. Let me know, and I will be happy to address your questions. If they need another video or in a future live, happy to address it there, or maybe I can just answer it for you in the comments. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you guys next week here in the group.